Hey team, welcome back to another incredible episode of the Intentional Agribusiness Leader Podcast. This is your host, Mark Jewell, and today I am joined by Mr. Brian Sanford. He is with, is it smaXtec? Is that how
smaXtec? Yep, exactly.
That's how we pronounce it, right? Yep. That's how we pronounce it. And I'm excited to dive into this. We're always super agronomy focused. I feel like with a lot of our leaders in here, I don't know if we've hit dairy even one time. Maybe one time we've hit the dairy side of things. So I'm excited to have somebody from the dairy industry and that's on here also. And really, I mean, it's ag tech, it's dairy, it's a little bit of everything all mixed into one. So fun to be diving into that. Brian, welcome to the show, man. Thanks for being on.
Hey, thanks for having me, Mark. Great to be here.
Tell me, man, what does it mean for you to be intentional?
Well, I've had a ton of time to think about this because I've been a long time listener to the podcast. Mm-hmm. I think it really brings me back to one of my early mentors when I was doing sales, commission sales, and always bringing up the conversation of dollar productive activity. And what are you doing today that's going to generate sales for the company and generate commission for you? And I think if you take that and you bring that into every part of your life, whether it's spending time with your spouse, whether it's spending time with your kids, with your family, whether it's doing community work or even in your job, what are you doing that is really driving towards what you're trying to get to? You know, so if you take that from dollar productive activity, if you're trying to generate revenue for sales revenue, but if you go into your marriage and you're trying to create that relationship that you want, are you doing the things that are getting you the results that you're looking for and making sure that you're intentional in doing those things? So I think that goes back to, like I said, early mentor of mine, Bob Bolin, that instilled that in me. And I really tried to pull that into every part of my life. I don't always do it well. You can ask my wife and kids, but
yeah, it's easier said than done, right? Simple, not easy is the way they describe that. Sometimes you call it dollar productive activity.
Yeah. So when I'm driven back to that when I'm doing any kind of sales activity, what I'm doing is this activity and the idea, you know, getting up in the morning. So often the first thing we want to do is check emails or respond to text. And so many of those are just administrative things versus things that are going to generate sales, generate leads, and move a sale forward. So just making sure that we've got time set aside for those dollar productive activities. So
you bet. Yeah, it's so good. I mean, I think about I wrestle back and forth with this so much because it's just so easy. There's so many shiny objects out there. There's so many things I could be doing. There's so many things I want to create. There's so many, I'm an idea guy. I've got a new idea on something we could build or a new way we could do something about every 5 minutes. Yep. In fact, my team actually has authority over me. I've given authority to the team to basically say like, hey, is this something we need to take action on right now? Or is this just another idea that Mark has? Right.
My guilty pleasure there is the random leads. I get a lead on something that really it's not going to generate a lot of revenue, but it's just in a cool place or it's a neat person. And I just want to chase that all the way to the very bottom, even at the point that they're not even interested. But it was something that was cool, whether it was a farm in a random place or I get drawn into things like that.
I love it. I want to talk about the business side on that concept, but then also let's go talk about the personal side here in a minute as well. So from the business perspective, I mean, you lead a sales team. I'm reading the bio here. You got, so Brian, if those of you guys that don't know, Brian's a national sales manager for smaXtec. Been in the dairy industry a long time. You've got 40 some people across the country now. You guys have grown from 7 to 40 in the last couple of years.
Yeah, so that includes our customer success team as well. But yeah, we've blown this thing out and growing like crazy, and it's been a lot of fun.
Which is awesome, and congrats on that. So when you talk about dollar productive activity, I mean, do you guys have some way to segment customers or qualify customers, or prospective customers in terms of like, hey, these are the ones we need to allocate more time, more resources to versus others? And I'm taking this somewhere because I want other people to understand they need to do this too, but I'm curious how you guys allocate time and resources.
So actually we've got some tools within our CRM We can label those. We call them opportunities within the CRM that we use, and you can move those across and not to sound just like a sales manager that says, "Hey, use your CRM to its fullest." I came away from sales management. I was so drawn in by this technology 3 years ago when I started with smaXtec. I came just as a salesperson, and
Sure.
my CRM, I concentrated on it. I'm not a detail guy at all. If you put me in the DISC, I'm a DI. I'm as far away from the C as possible. So I know I have to manage that. So when I walk off the farm and I've got all that new information after a cold visit or the chance to sit down with a customer, I sit in the car and do my CRM every single farm when I get done. Because otherwise, I know what the result is. It won't get done.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and that's an opportunity to gather that data to get everything done. And if you're being aggressive on the sales side, you should have so much data floating around in your head. There's no way you can keep track of it.
You bet.
And then we can just categorize those in a couple of different categories and make sure you've got your to-do set on those customers and making sure we're not losing track of them. And it's amazing to me when you get a lot of stuff going on, you lose track of a bunch of those. So just encouraging my people to take on those same things without trying to feel like I'm just big brother looking over their
Yeah.
shoulder. I want the
Well,
best for
it's
them too.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I keep running into this scenario a lot where a lot of so much of our business is in ag retail. Obviously, not all of it, but we have a lot
Right.
in the ag retail space because we're comfortable, familiar. People know us there, and there's a lot of I would say co-ops or independent retailers that are thinking about implementing CRM. We run into that a lot. I actually run into that much more often than those that actually have CRM. So there's been a lot of low accountability sales force in that part of the industry for forever. And my argument lately has just been like, I don't, it puts you at so much risk. It's so unintentional not to have some sort of policy or at least leadership around documenting the sale that you've been having with someone.
Yeah.
The sales conversations that you've been having, like, I mean, we have a very simple one. It's $50 a month, man. It's not like a big, I mean, you can use a Salesforce or something like that. That's going to, run you a bunch more. I'm not, something like that. I think, AgVan, Bushel, et cetera, all these companies have their own things for different aspects of the industry, and they're all, I'm sure, good in their own right. We use a $50 solution. It's called Folk. $50 a person, right? And only two of us need it, right? So, okay, $100 a month. But it just helps me keep track of everything that's in my mind, right? I mean, any given week, I mean, having a couple podcast interview conversations, I'm having, doing, 20 or 25, individual outreaches, trying to book people into the pipeline. I got another, 3, 4, 5, 6 discovery calls in the course. It's a lot of conversations, Brian. I can't keep this shit straight.
And I'd question you as a salesperson or someone that's trying to generate activity. If you can keep it straight, are you really doing enough?
Exactly. Yeah. If you can carry it in your mind, you probably need some more sales activity. Let's be honest. No. So do you notice in your business, like I do in mine, I know a lot of others do. There's kind of, I call it the 80-20, right? So we get about 80% of our results or revenue are typically coming off kind of the top 20% or top 25% of customers. Would that be similar in a company like yours?
Probably not off of the top 20% of customers because we
No,
have a
no.
big variety of size and we've got a number of
Right.
large customers. So
Yeah.
our revenue is spread out a lot more. And because it's a recurring revenue, it's spread out
Right.
a
So
lot
it's a
more.
different base, right?
So, yep.
I just notice a lot of, the good chunk of businesses out there. And yours is, I think, unique, right? Because it's the dairy market. There's only so many dairy farms out there, right? But in our business, it's like, I mean, we really do generate 80% of our revenue off the top 20%.
Yep.
And we're glad for the other 80% of the customers too, right? Because you need that. And but when it comes to allocating time and resources, I mean, we optimize for that top 20%. And that was my point in kind of getting into that. When you think about what's my dollar, what'd you call it?
Dollar productive activity.
My dollar productive activity. I got to allocate it there. Where I see a lot of people get stressed out, though, in both sales and sales leadership, is over the 80% that only generate the 20.
Yep.
And we got to be aware of that.
And I think like for one thing for me, I think that's developed over time, and I'm sure it has for you, Mark, too. There's almost, I feel like a quarterback in the pocket. I've got that. I'll get on some administrative tasks, and then all of a sudden there's just something in the back of my mind saying, "Hey, you got to do something that's gonna generate a lead or that's gonna move a customer forward, and
Yep.
and and be able to you know to go do some activity that makes me feel like I've accomplished something rather than just getting a bunch of emails responded to."
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. And you got to try different things too. I just ordered a bunch of books, and there's going to be some people that are on my prospect list that are going to get a book,
yeah,
from me, because there's one chapter that lines up with this new product that we're launching, and I'm like, I want you guys to use this. This is why it highlights it in this book, written by somebody who's way more successful than I am and way smarter than I am. Like, here's the validation. Here's the thing we've got to solve this problem. Can we please have a conversation about that? So good. Okay, let's. I want to dive into this. How do we extrapolate dollar productive activity into the personal life?
well,
You mentioned that, and I was
I
like,
mean,
what
I
do you
think
got?
it's just so I've got 4 kids. I've got 4 kids. 2 of them are gone, and 2 of them are still at home.
Yep.
I'm traveling more than I ever have. I've been very intentional and careful to not take on a lot of travel until the last year and a half, because when I had 4 kids at home, it was almost impossible to manage.
Mm,
But one of the things I've brought in just in the last couple of weeks, and we're just getting, I was looking for my 2 kids that are left at home. I'm going to be gone more, so what's something that we can do as an activity? So my 11-year-old daughter is fairly athletic. She never got to be the dance girl, um, and
hmm
so that's why I just asked her. I said, "Hey, there's these online dance classes. Do you want to learn to dance together?" And of course, I got the eye roll, and I think she thought it was horrible, but I think I've got her agreed to it. And then my freshman in high school, I haven't played much chess recently, and
Sure.
he's a he kind of
Yeah.
a little bit he was a right away a yes. I was like, hey, why don't we get a chessboard out and we start playing some chess? Because I mean, chess is a great game. You if you've got to stop right in the middle of the game, the board can just sit there on the table, and you can come back to it in 3 or 4 days. So just some of those things of making sure that you're intentional. My wife and I, it has its seasons, but making sure we're doing things together. We're
Mm,
pretty regular CrossFitters, and we try to get
nice.
into the gym at least together once or twice a week, always. And it's
Yeah.
it's a pretty big commitment for us because it's a 30-minute drive in and a 30-minute drive back. So you also have that time, um,
hmm
and so just some of those little things to make sure we're getting some extra time and being
So good.
intentional.
Love it,
So
man. Super good. I agree, man. I just like date nights, quality time with your
yep,
wife, scheduling some of these, scheduling this stuff in. I have a high leverage activity. This one has this, and I would share this with anybody. Share the format. If you guys want to email me, mark@themomentumcompany.com, I'll give you I'll send you an example. I write something called the daily brief uh, almost every day, right? So it's not really daily, but it's pretty much daily. I'm on this morning. I sent to my wife number 237, and then I put in the subject daily brief, and then I put the number and it's every time I do it, I just go up to the next number. So today was as of the what is it, the 22nd of August was the 237th one I've written since I started this process. I know about a year ago. And so obviously, I generally don't write it on the weekends. I don't write it if we're traveling together. We do travel together a fair amount, but this has been one of the biggest dollar producing activities in my relationship. Because what it does is it syncs us up, and I open it up with whatever. Good morning. This is your daily brief. Here's what I'm doing right now. This is the schedule for the day. And I just look at hey, here's what I mean. By the way, we run the business together. We share the same calendar. Like, she could go just look, and she knows what I have on my calendar for the day. But I go and I write it in the email anyway, right? Hey, I've got Brian Sanford on the podcast at 10 o'clock this morning, and then I got a demo at 11, and another demo at 11:30. And what I do is I voice record into my transcriptor, and then I have GPT put it in my voice, so it looks like it's and it is written for me. It came from my voice. I try to optimize for time. Okay. So I don't have time to always just sit there and type out, this long email. And then I close it with a prayer. And I put that in the email. And that just, it gets over there. And man, she loves it because it's me taking the time to show like, hey, here's what's on the calendar for the day. Who's in charge of supper tonight? It's just allocating the resources for the day, delegating the things that need to be done for the day. And it's the simplest. It takes me 5 minutes. It literally is like, it takes me no more than 5 minutes to do the whole thing. And that it has an outsized impact on our marriage.
That's awesome.
I'm like, it is so simple. It is so simple. It shouldn't be, it almost like it shouldn't be that easy for as much good as it does. And, there's days like most often I don't hear anything back. She doesn't write me back. I just send it. Right. But it's just like, and I don't need to hear anything back. I like to hear it back. I like to get a response once in a while, but I don't need to. And I just send it. And what the other thing it does is it helps me think through my day. Right. So I'm actually sitting down and like quarterbacking myself through my day, and I'll catch errors. I'll catch mistakes in the calendar. I'll think about things that need to be done. And so it's been super, super helpful that way.
Awesome.
Let's talk about your team and you guys have grown substantially. I'm like what? A lot of X, like 6 or 7X in the last, it sounds like in the last several years. How are you leading culture, within that space? I know you came on in sales. Now you're the national sales manager. Like how are you implementing, building culture, getting people, to show up how you need them to and want to?
So I think some of the biggest things we're doing, as a newer group, we're getting together a fair amount. We're all remote, so all over the country, but we're together 3 times a year right now. I think that's a big part of it. With the new sales members, started something a couple of months ago where everybody that's under 6 months, we're spending 2 hours together on a Teams meeting on Monday mornings, and just working through different scenarios, presenting, working, role playing, all those pieces, and so that we can have that connection. And then it's just, we're still small enough. We're only about 15 salespeople that trying to connect with everybody on the phone, once or twice a week, and getting them to share. One of the things with newer people, we're getting them on the road with salespeople, veteran in quotation marks, because they haven't been with us that long, but just getting on the road and seeing somebody that's had some success, and a chance for them to get to know each other. And so building that team and getting as much face time as we possibly can, that's a place where we really invested. And so I think that's been a big part of it. And then just as you grow that fast, you're going to bring in people that aren't a fit. And so also making sure to build that culture, also making sure, hey, give them an opportunity to fit into what you're looking for. But also at some point, hey, is this not the right fit for you? Is this not what you want to be doing? Are you not excited about it? Because you've had my brother Greg on before. He works on the agronomy side. The stuff he does every day, I probably would have the skills to do that well, but I wouldn't love it. I love dairy. So if we bring someone in and it's accidental, that maybe they were just looking for a job, or they thought they were going to be excited about this and they're not. Sometimes it's just having that honest conversation of, hey, is this a fit for you? And it usually seems to go one of two ways. I've got one of my guys that's been actually the first hire that I had directly, is just crushing it right now. But 3 or 4 months in, we had a conversation like, hey, is this right for you? Because it was a little different than he'd been doing before. And he's like, no, it is right for me. And so we had the opportunity to center him and really focus on the right things within what we're doing with cow health. And man, he's just gone rocket ship from there. And so I think, I guess I encourage everybody, have those tough conversations and be okay with the fact that sometimes the answer is no, this isn't right for me. And let that person move on to something that's a better fit for you. And that creates a great culture on our team, but also then set somebody free to go do what's going to be a passion for them.
Yeah. Big time. I think a lot of times we hold on to it for too long because we don't want to have that tough conversation.
Yep.
Whether it's just a constructive criticism or it's the conversation to let someone go. I mean, I've done it. I've held on for way, way, way too long, and it cost me a lot of money. A lot of money, and a lot of just time and frustration. Because what's the old saying that nothing will lose you a good employee by faster than watching you tolerate a bad one.
Yes, and I 100% believe that.
And it's not necessarily good or bad. Nothing will lose you a productive employee
Correct.
faster than watching you tolerate an unproductive one, or nothing will lose you a engaged employee faster than watching you tolerate a disengaged one, right? Because all those decisions stack and have major impacts on your team over time. I liked that you guys have a cadence for getting together. And then like your virtual meetings as well, which is something we always recommend for teams to have.
Yeah, and if that having that cadence and the new people, that's given me some opportunity to build some relationships, I think in a way. And it was the new person training on Monday mornings I was almost just forced to it because we added 6 or 8 brand new salespeople in a very short period of time. It was like I don't have time to spend. I can't spend 2 hours with everybody over the course of a week and then be sitting in the car seat next to some of them. We've got to get this going in one place. So that really, we were forced to do that, and it really has turned out to be a great thing.
Nice.
And we brought somebody in, an HR director into the U.S., and she's done a great job of getting that first week onboarding and those first 6-8 weeks. So we've really focused on trying to get us as smaXtec introduced a new person both on the customer success and on the sales side, and then just get them up to speed as fast as we can, because that's probably one place we fell down when I was early into the management piece, because we didn't have enough hands on deck to make that happen, and I think we do now. We're still pretty lean on the management side, so we still have to be efficient,
Of course.
but that's also the way I'd prefer it.
Big time.
Yeah.
Good. Very cool, man. What's bringing good talent into you guys? Is it a cool product? Is it people passionate about dairy? Is it good? Hey, they like your sales process. They like you. Like, what's the?
I would say cool product is number one.
Yeah.
And to be able to show that, one of the things I say when I present, if I get in front of a room, is the first time I went to smaXtec, it was very clear to me really quickly. I went to work for a technology company that happened to be in the dairy industry. Not so often it's a dairy company that is trying to get into the technology industry. This was a room. I mean, it was like going on a movie set. And they've moved to a new office now. It's not quite as homey as it used to be, but it was a whole bunch of 25 to 35-year-olds sitting in front of 3 computer screens with noise canceling headphones and just a bullpen full of developers punching away and figuring stuff out. So that's the product and what we can do that draws people in. But then we've really made an effort with our leadership here, specifically with our U.S. team, so we're based in Austria, but excuse me, our U.S. team, we've really made an effort that when we're presenting, we're prepared. If we're in front of a room of outside people, we're ready to go and passionate. And one of my new hires recently saw me present, and when our recruiter called and reached out and said, "Hey, are you interested?" And he said, "Absolutely." And he's told me multiple times, like, "What you guys are doing, cool, and I want to work for Brian." So when I show up at something, I want to make sure that I show up and I'm ready to go, and that I'm going to attract people, and I want a whole team of people that are going to attract people to us.
Yeah, big time. Do you have your team following any particular type of like sales language or sales process? That's like, I know you got the CRM piece. Is there any regiment or requirement?
So I'm still feeling my way through that.
Mm-hmm.
We worked through it. We've obviously got a deck of slides on a PowerPoint, but we don't want to PowerPoint people to death. We also have our system is very neat to show. Just in the live system, we can see what's going on a farm, cows that need attention, whether they've got a high temperature, a suspected mastitis. All those pieces are really neat to show on farm. So my goal is to teach all those pieces, that a salesperson can do all those pieces, and then that they can have some autonomy to make a decision on what personality type of person is. Are you presenting to one person? Are you presenting to a group of 8 or 10 people? to give some flexibility there and show off what we do the best. But no matter what situation you're in, be prepared to give a good presentation to come and show the excitement of what our product can do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, awesome, love it. Very good, man. I'm always curious how people approach it. It's specifically as a tech company, right? I've had a couple of tech companies we've worked with now, and developed sales process, sales language, sales training, et cetera, for them. It's not the bulk of what we do, but we'll get into it once in a while because I nerd out over it, and I like to get my fingers in the pie a little bit and help out. So, on every single discovery conversation, I ask the same 5 questions every single time, and it leads me to when I do that, I know that there's about an 80 to 90% chance I'm going to get to write a proposal. I don't close all the proposals, but I know I'm going to get to write a proposal, and that's the next step in my process. Like if you were to go outside the ag context, right, and just say tech company, there's typically a very standard, right, like sales process. Lead gets generated, right, and then there's a flow, right? You go from one step to the next step to the next step. And if you're not following the process, and you're the salesperson on that team, or you're the rep, and you're not asking those questions, because they're probably recording you, by the way. And a lot of that's now going to be AI driven. Okay, because we're getting monitored with AI because we can. So and it makes it easier, it makes it more efficient. And if you're a company, you want to know, okay, what are the inputs that are getting the outputs? That's it, right? I want to know what are the things that are happening on the front end that are helping us make money on the back end. It's my responsibility as a business owner to figure that out, solve for that problem, and do it again, and then scale it. Now, and let's take all of that and put it into the ag context. It's like as soon as we get into the ag industry, all of those rules go out the damn window. And it's like we don't follow process, and it's like, hey, just build the relationship, right? Well, like my liver can only handle so many bush lights in relationship building, right? But that's some people's process,
right?
And not the healthy process I would recommend. It's not included in my training. Somebody Snapchatted me one time who had been through our training in the past, and they were at another person's sales training. It was 4:00 in the afternoon, and she texted or Snapchatted me a picture of a Bud Light sitting on top of her 3-ring binder. And she's like, we didn't get Bud Light at your training. And I texted her back. I was like, was it really that bad? They had to give you alcohol to get you through the day, So anyway, I'm always curious what different companies are doing, right, to try to net those positive results, because that we have to develop salespeople, and ag is such a relationship driven business, and that's where the nuance comes in, right? It's like how do we get people consistently building good relationships so that we can generate business, right?
The one thing that is a little bit neat for us is we sell one product.
Yeah.
So from the standpoint, I'm with you. I've got my same 5 or 6 questions that I'm going to ask on every single farm. It almost becomes boring when I'm doing that sales process, because it's the same over and over and over, and it's the same. I'm looking for the same things from the standpoint of building an ROI with our product as well. So that's one thing that's really nice, is we can really train people into a very narrow band to figure out what things are going to work, what things aren't going to work, and work through that process. And you can have those 5 or 6 questions and go a long, long way, because we're only dealing with one product. I sometimes feel bad for my agronomy friends that they've got so many products and that they don't even know them all.
Exactly. Yeah. There's it's so true. So true. Talk to me a little bit about just switching more to the personal side real quick. What's been one of the biggest challenges that you've found yourself getting to overcome over the course of your career?
On the career side, probably just I spent a long time on the feed and forage side, and making that decision. I really enjoyed where I was at, but there was a point where I wasn't in love with it anymore. And making that decision to leave a group of people that I didn't really enjoy and that I did get along with well, and take that next step and go in a different direction. I think that was probably one of the biggest challenges for me personally, personal, professional, was making that decision to make a move and chase something. And really, what we just talked about a few minutes ago, in the end, what drew me was the technology.
Yeah.
This the same thing that are drawing people in is like, that's really cool. And where is
Mhm.
that going to be in 5 or 10 years? And I want to be along for that ride.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Very cool. Yeah, that's tough, man. I find, I mean, the those of you that are in the feed aspect of the dairy industry, or really, I guess any part of the livestock arena, like really love it, right? It's there's a love, and then there's a love usually for a particular species,
yep.
and they really dig it, and they build a whole career, right? Just doing that, and so yeah, that'd be a tough decision to to leave and then go to the next level. What for you has been one of the biggest wins?
I think with my old job, I was just in Michigan.
Mhm.
And what's been a lot of fun is when I started with smaXtec, we didn't have any salespeople out west. So I got the opportunity to do some responsive sales out west on some inquiries that we have
Mhm.
had. And just as a salesperson to come back from management and do it on the sales side and work through the process to manage my CRM the way I want people to ask those have those questions built. One of the things I always say is never get an objection that you can't answer twice. If you get an objection and you can't handle it, that's fine once, but you should
Mhm.
never not have a response to that objection again. So just
Yeah.
working through some of that sales process and then being able to scale that and I love it. I mean, there was a week when I was doing sales. I closed a dairy that had 16 cows, and I closed a dairy that had 6,000 cows in the same week. So just being able to take all those pieces and bring it back, all the things I was teaching, and say, hey, this really does work, and to
Mhm.
be able to go day to day. So that was a fun win, and then just use that to leverage back into the management side. And I
Cool.
still get all the fun and joy of going out with salespeople and closing sales and moving things forward. So, and I love being able to teach it, and I love it when it works. It's frustrating when it's a challenge, but
Yeah.
so
Yeah. What do you find? Is there when it's challenged, you're trying to get a salesperson to level up their skill set or surrender to the process and just do it? What are the biggest pieces of pushback, or what's the biggest resistance that you think you run into with that?
I think there's a couple. One is just that ability to generate the lead. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that's the number one thing I need with a new company, right? With a product that's new to a market for us
Yep.
is I, the reality is the one thing that works and works that just works is cold visits. Just showing
Mm-hmm.
up. It's crazy. I mean, we're still a business that you can still roll up the driveway and still meet somebody for the first time
Yep.
and develop a relationship. But obviously, you get into a larger operation that's operating much more of a business to business sale. Then you've got to develop those relationships with their partners, with the nutritionists, with the veterinarians, and find
Mm-hmm.
that backdoor way in because sometimes the office is hidden and you've got to have another way in. So I think the toughest thing to do is to get people that maybe haven't ever done that direct sales is getting them to understand you have to just grind to figure out how
Mm-hmm.
to put those leads to find those leads and find those people that you need to be talking to, and you've got to have that funnel big enough that you're going to get you're going to
Mm-hmm.
get sales to drop to the bottom.
You bet.
We when we were together as a whole a month or so ago, there was four of us that just did a quick 15-minute presentation on kind of our sales journey with smaXtec and what's made us successful. And one of the
Mm-hmm.
things I pulled up off of our CRM is I pulled up my total number of sales that I didn't make. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, I'll challenge you. I, I, I think I can win this category. I think I've been said no to more than anybody else,
Yeah.
and
Love it.
that's it. Just embracing that and loving it, and it goes back to the conversation we had earlier about people being in the right spot for
Mm-hmm.
where we're at as a company. If you don't love that and that's not what you want to be doing every day,
Mm-hmm.
it's maybe not a fit for you. So it's a matter of figuring out: do you not believe that that's the process to get to sale, or is it just not what you want to be doing? And then we can
Mm-hmm.
sort through that. So I think a lot of one-on-one conversations to figure that out and
Big time.
keep moving forward.
Yeah.
So,
Super good. Super good. What you got a book recommendation for us?
I had two. The
Yeah.
one from the last year that I loved, Unreasonable Hospitality,
Yeah, come on, man.
Will Guidara. Have you read that one?
Yeah,
That
it
is a
completely shifted our business.
a,
Yeah.
a fun read. I don't even remember. I don't know. I don't even remember where I heard the recommendation. That was a quick Thanksgiving weekend read. Fun, just uh, just a different mindset on things. And
Yeah.
then this is probably no surprise to you, as much as we've talked about CRM and analytics and
Hmm.
Moneyball and that
Oh, good
whole
one.
Billy
Yeah.
Bean story. I mean, really, none of these things to do with directly a sales
Yeah.
but that idea. I love baseball and I love thinking outside the box and I love the underdog. So the idea of, hey, we're gonna attack this from a completely different direction. We're gonna figure out
Hmm.
how to compete with less resources. So
Good.
that Moneyball's, I've probably read that 5 or 6 times, and that's a
Yeah,
fun one
nice.
for me. And then so yeah, those are two atop of my list.
Cool, man. I like it. I like it a lot. We're we're big unreasonable hospitality fans over here.
Yep.
So in fact, I've reached out to Will Gadara to see if he can come on, if he would come on the show.
Okay.
I connected with him on LinkedIn. I'm like, hey man, I mean, he's probably the kind of person you got to pay big money to just come and be on your show, as popular as his book has been, and
Yep.
having exited, or taken, built the number one restaurant in the world, that kind of thing. I mean, just unreal. But so really cool story. But it really shifted how we look at just the little details within our business. Because I'm like you, I'm not a detail guy,
Yeah.
and I also want a great product, which means I got to pay attention to it. You know, so it really has shifted that, and like in some simple processes, it's like once a customer for us now, like example, when a customer crosses a certain financial investment threshold, like my team just automatically is empowered to make certain decisions that are good for the customer. They don't have to call me, right? And so we do
Okay.
this. We for some customers, we'll order them a box of. It's a very fancy box of tomahawk steaks,
Okay.
and it has their name, their last name is engraved on 4 steak knives. It's got, you can put other things in the box too, right? But it's like somebody did that for us once. We're like, man, that was like that makes me want to be loyal to that company because that was such a surprise. It was so cool, and it's like we experience stuff like that all the time. There's a company right now that's trying to get they want to bid our homeowners insurance for our house. First thing, 2 weeks ago, I got a really nice brochure, and it was a substantially, like, a brochure is a brochure, right? But no, this was like a very nice brochure. Like, I sat down and read the brochure. It was nice. Okay, I don't read brochures. Most of this stuff goes straight in the trash. Yeah, yesterday we just got home from our most recent Thriving Leader event, and they had. I'm sure this is all like AI generated, but they basically they framed what looks like a watercolor print of our house and put that in a box and shipped it to us. I'm like, I've never met these people. I have no idea where they got our, like, I mean, they must just be doing this to everybody, or I got on someone's list. I don't know. Right. But it's like, okay, Andrea, whatever, you win, you get to bid my insurance. Like, it's a nice frame. It's a cool picture of my house. I know my wife hung it up around here somewhere. Like, it looks nice. And it's one of those things like, oh, like you would take that to your next house to remember the 6 years you put in at that, Chapel Ridge Drive, in Pittsburgh,
Cool.
North Carolina or whatever. So anyway, like just little things like that go a long way. So that's a great book for those of you that want to like dramatically improve, I guess, your customer experience, right? So good. What what do you do to keep? I know you mentioned CrossFit. What do you do to keep yourself tuned up and keep the energy, keep the capacity high?
The CrossFit piece, my wife and I try to get it just from a reconnection standpoint and then moving a couple times a week. We try to get out and walk. And
Nice.
I'll throw, that's one that my parents still, they walk every morning at 7 o'clock. I mean, it's also a little easier when you don't have any kids at home and
Yeah.
you're quasi retired. Although my dad will probably never retire. He's still gets on the phone and makes cold calls every morning. Um,
Yep.
but they get up and walk at 7 every morning and put keep moving, and it's amazing to see. Even as, well, and my mom's gone to CrossFit too, so the whole we've got the whole family.
Nice.
So that's kind of a fun piece too from a connection standpoint. So I see the whole crew. So there, and just um, we stay pretty plugged in the community. I'm on the school board, and that, I suppose, that creates more stress, but it's also it's a even though it's active and doing something, it's a complete disconnect, and it makes me switch mindset to that versus spending the time on work. So sometimes it's also being plugged in doing something else that refreshes me a little bit too. And then we'd love to travel
Yeah.
a
Beautiful.
couple of times a year, and just do a couple of different things and get out with the family, and that's an
Yeah.
awesome one too.
That's good. More people listening to this need to make those family excursions a priority.
Yep,
The more,
100%.
yeah.
And and going back to some people, even at times when we didn't have maybe the money to do fancy things. I mean, there was times I mean, the memory just hit me when some of the kids were little. We rented it was almost a rustic cabin from a family friend, I think for a couple $100 for the week. We had little kids. I don't think it really even maybe had one bedroom. It had a bathroom, but it was just, even when we didn't have the money to spend a ton of money on something, we've always tried to make that a priority. And I hope we've built some awesome memories with our kids, and took advantage of that time to
Nice.
get away, and to spend that time, and to unplug, and do some things when you know even when you were chasing life early and you were exhausted from little kids, and
Yeah. Right.
get just some time to connect. I think that's important. Even if there's ways to do it without spending a whole bunch of money, even if you're not at that point. And
Yep.
although it is fun when you can spend a little more money on it too.
It's it is enjoyable when you can go do the nice things. But man, you're so right. You
I don't
need
think the
to.
memories are any better.
100%.
So
It's the I mean the one thing like the one that my kids always talk about the most is just a road trip that the three of them and I did to the Grand Canyon. It was low
yep,
budget. We camped, we slept in cheap hotels, but we just road tripped out and, did Sedona, did Grand Canyon. We did it all in like a week, and honestly, what they remember the most is the time in the truck,
yep.
or like the slide rock thing that they did in Sedona, which was like a free, like natural water slide that God built into the mountain,
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
so.
that reminds me. One of my favorites. We did Grand Canyon. I mean, the
Mhm.
kids were little. We had all four kids that went. So it's pretty good. My wife's a teacher, so we're always on short time frames. So spring break, we drove to Chicago O'Hare, which is about 3.5 hours, but we flew
Mhm.
Spirit, I think, for $72 a piece.
Oh man, yeah, there you go.
On the red eye. But they don't. They tell those stories, and we talk about that all the time. And we did Zion and Horseshoe and Grand Canyon, and I mean, those guys, they remember that, and I could have spent. I don't think they'd remember it any different, and I could have spent $10,000 more than we did.
Right.
And so
Yep.
so be
Yep.
creative when those opportunities are there.
Agreed.
So
Agreed. All right, man. Thanks for being on the show. We're out of time, up against our hour here, and appreciate you doing it. Good luck with everything at smaXtec, guys. If you're checking out, if you're in the dairy space, know somebody that is, go check them out. Very cool website, very cool product that these guys have. smaX SMAX Tech TEC.com. So go check it out. Good stuff. And if you know somebody that wants to go get into the tech space in the dairy industry, give Brian a call.
absolutely. Thanks, Mark.
Good. Yeah. Thanks for being on.